What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Vocals. This week we are joined by Nick from the band Hallow Sanctum. It is an awesome episode. Had a great conversation with Nick. Learned a lot. Heard a lot of tips and tricks and a lot of fun stories. I enjoy doing this episode, so I hope you enjoy it too. Let's get into it. All right. We have Nick here from Hallow Sanctum. We're going to chat about vocals and stuff. How you doing, sir?
Awesome.
Dude.
Honestly, really good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for asking. I have a 2-year-old, so I'm tired. But other than that, man, he's wild, freaking crazy.
I hear you, man.
But dude, thank you so much for coming on and giving us some of your time to chat about stuff. And I'm stoked to chat with you about all things vocals.
Yeah, no problem at all. Honestly, it's an honor. It really is. I'm stoked. This is actually also the first time I'm being interviewed too. So this
nice,
is
dude.
really, really sick.
Nice. Heck yeah, man. I'm excited. So yeah, what I like to do to start off, just if you will, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Kind of just introduce yourself and give everybody a little backstory.
All right, sounds good. I'm Nick. I do vocals for a metalcore band called Hallow Sanctum. We're based out of New Jersey, and we're pretty much just getting everything going as best as we can. We're trying to get more shows going on and start getting out there to and reach as big of an audience as we possibly can.
Nice. How long have you guys been a band?
So that's this is a very interesting question because the idea of the band is like 4 years old, but we've only been a band for a little over a year.
Okay.
Yep. It started with me and my guitarist Connor. We were in a very, very shitty band from a while back. It was just us and our friends, and it was like awful. I was actually on vocals for that and had no clue what I was doing, and I literally cringe whenever I hear any of that. Whenever they bring it up and be like, "Hey, remember this?" I'm just like, "Oh no." But I would play guitar in a few bands, and Connor and I would just be writing together, and then we eventually decided to make this an actual thing, and we got the lineup together, and we started recording together. And so that was a little over a year ago that we actually decided to let's do it.
Nice. Dude, honestly, the crappy band was probably a blessing in disguise, because a lot of time with those bands, you just have free reign to just do what you want, just make noise, yell, and you can just experiment, try all kinds of shit. So I mean, it kind of works out. You really get
nobody listened to it anyways.
Yeah, just go for it. Dude, hell yeah, though. I'm excited. You guys' EP is awesome. I've been listening to it. We've been jamming
Thank you.
Super, super good. Who produced it? Who did you guys do it? Was it DIY or did you go somewhere?
So we went somewhere. We wrote a lot of the songs collectively together, and then we would go to Randy Pasquarella from the band If I Were You, up in Beacon, New York, to record with him, and he produced, mixed, mastered, and honestly, he really helped out with our vision, because we wanted a lot of atmosphere and a lot of ambience to kind of, because I listen to a lot of bands like Animate, Randy's band, If I Were You, Currents, and a lot of their music, it's not this is just my opinion and whatnot, but it's not you're just listening to a song. It's more of an experience, I guess, if you will.
Yeah,
that's the way I like to look at it, because
it's a journey.
When I first heard, absolutely, because when I first heard them, I was just oh yeah, it would be sick to have a lot of stuff going on in the background to make it sound more of an experience, a journey, than just songs.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. He did a great job with it. I get that vibe under it, and it adds to it. It adds to the fullness of a song with all that extra the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
All right.
100%. I agree.
Well, let's. How long have you been doing vocals?
So, properly, I want to say about 3 years, 2 years. I want to say. I started like actually like taking it seriously like 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I was always like doing like really like crappy fry screens and like what I thought false chord was
Yeah.
and whatnot back when I started when I was like 15, 16, I want to say. I'm turning 23 at the end of the month. Um, so it's been a little bit, but I was obviously not doing it right at all. So I guess I would be more comfortable to say like 2, 3 years,
Okay.
but it's been longer, but improperly, of course.
So I have to know: did you sing first or scream first? Because you do the cleans, right? You're the one doing all the cleans.
Yes.
Okay. Which one did you do first?
Yes.
I'm always intrigued by this.
So I started screaming first.
Okay.
And I eventually I honestly like didn't even want to do cleans for this project. But we were in the studio and they were all kind of like, "Yeah, you're doing them. Come on." And it's like I guess like after like learning like what I learned with screaming and trying to like apply it to like singing and like getting more comfortable with cleans because I wasn't exactly comfortable with it. Paramount was actually that song that like I kind of like realized that like okay, I can kind of do this and then like we I thought like I was actually like shocked after I heard the take because I like never like recorded myself sing or anything like that. So it was like okay, I can probably do this, and I've just been working on my cleans a lot more ever since because I like to be able to like show a lot of versatility and
Yeah.
not just like I like to like do all kinds of like screams and singing as well. So like versatility is like the biggest thing for me as a vocalist. So I try to like learn as much as I possibly can.
Yeah. Cleans sound awesome, man. They're so good.
Thank you.
The reason I asked that is just I was talking to Zachary Ferris a couple weeks ago, and he started
Oh yeah,
screaming
that's the
first,
homie.
and then went into singing. I was like, it's crazy. I don't know. It's interesting which one comes first because there's a lot of similarities in how
Yeah,
you approach them and what you have to do, like vocally and stuff. So,
absolutely.
nice though. Heck yeah, man. So did you play any other instruments first?
Yes, I actually started with guitar first,
Nice.
and I got like a Fender Strat like I want to say like after my freshman year of high school ended, and um, then 3 months later I was like listening to like a bunch of Whitechapel and everything. I'm
Oh
like I
God.
want to learn like
Which
all like the
Whitechapel did you listen
deathcore
to?
stuff. This is Exile,
Nice. Yeah.
like a lot of like their older stuff.
Somatic into This Is Exile's great stuff. Like that's just
Oh yeah,
angry,
100%.
heavy, crazy stuff.
It's so heavy, and I was just like, yeah, I want a 7 string. So I got like a 7 string, and I've just been like, I still play. I do actually contribute a little bit to the writing process for Hallow as well, with some riffs here and there. But I've grown a collection over the years. I Everybody around me like jokes that it's like my worst like addiction and everything because I have like 16 guitars,
God,
and it's like everybody's just like, dude, your fucking basement's Guitar Center.
that's wild. Which is your favorite? Do you have a favorite guitar out of all of them? Since you have so many.
So back when I was in a band called Liminal, I started I had a job and everything that was like I was making some good money with, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna treat myself. I bought these two Kiesels,
Oh, Kiesels are so
and
nice.
dude, I haven't looked back ever since. Kiesels are like my favorite guitars. They play like butter. I don't know if that's like a good analogy to like use to like describe it, but it's just so smooth and like easy to get around the fretboard. It's just and the tones that you get out of them and everything. I know it's like just oh my god. And they have that 5-way coil split. It just sounds awesome.
Kiesels are super nice, super nice. So you started on guitar. What inspired you to get into vocals and become a vocalist?
So I before I got into like all like the metalcore and like deathcore stuff and whatnot, I grew up on a lot of like Linkin Park, Nickelback, Creed, Breaking Benjamin, like all that stuff.
So we're getting a Creed cover, right? That's what Hallow Sanctum Creed
Oh
cover.
yeah, 100%, 100%. I'll get the guys to do it. I
Dude,
know
that would
they'll
be so
down.
sick. That would probably go viral if you did like a crazy Creed cover. Just imagine that. Like, so good.
Deathcore version of deathcore version of Higher.
Yeah, it'd be so sick.
Oh my god, that would be so funny. But I grew up on a lot of that, and I like heard because one of my friends, like back when I was in like middle school, like sent me over like Asking Alexandria's like stuff, and I heard there's some Morte at Dabo, and I was just like, oh my god, this is crazy. And like just how he goes from like high to low to like his mid range and that mix of like the cleans, and I had like no idea like what was going on because like everybody around me like for the most part like bashed the genre and whatnot, so like I was always like I don't know, and I wasn't like the biggest fan of like metal when I first heard it, but the more I listened to it, I was just like, okay, this is sick. And then like one day, I think like my parents like left the house to like go out or something, and they took my little brother with me. And I got bored one day, and I was just like, all right, let me try and see if I could do this. And like that's just like where it came from. I always thought it'd be like really cool to be able to like do it. And then like once I kind of started to get into it, I was just like, yeah, I really want to like see this through.
Nice. So how did you learn? Just self-taught? Did you go find YouTube videos? Or were you just like you figure out what works and what doesn't work?
There was a variety of things. The first time I ever tried to do it, I literally tried to mimic it, and like with no prior knowledge at all, and I like completely lost my voice. But then I started looking up some YouTube tutorials. I remember like Andy Kizak from Monuments was one of the tutorials that I actually saw, and it was really helpful at the time and whatnot. But I never really like knew like proper vocal discipline, I guess. So I would just like whenever I'd be able to make the sound, I'd keep doing it for hours, and like I didn't even know like vocal rest or anything like that at the time. I was young and like stupid and whatnot, so I just kept going. And like I would tire myself out and be like, did I forget how to do everything? Why did I lose my voice again? But then I had a vocal coach, and there was a lot of like, I've like gone to like a couple people for lessons and whatnot, and some of them were very, very helpful. Others, like I could tell, like kind of like kept a little bit of information to themselves, so you like keep coming back and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then eventually, everybody kept telling me like because they're saying like they're teaching pretty much whatever the Zen of Scream is teaching you. So I was just like, all right. So I bought that, and I pretty much like learned like proper like technique and all that stuff from the Zen of Screaming. I think that was like a complete game changer for me anyways, because I was like so confused and whatnot, and also like needed like some better warm-up techniques and whatnot. And let me tell you, like Melissa Cross knows her stuff. It's like no joke.
Yeah. That's how I learned. I similar to you, I just would screw up my voice, just trying to yell, trying to do whatever, trying to figure it out. No technique, no anything, just screaming, just going for it. Sounded terrible. And then I stumbled upon Zen of Screaming, and I was like, let me see what this is, and started implementing that, and it was night and day difference, just how good it is and how much it helps
big
you.
Time. It's almost like an instantaneous difference. Like once it like clicks, it's just like, oh, yeah, there we go.
Exactly, yeah. Like you hear this stuff the first time, you're like, I don't really understand what she's saying, and then you're like, oh, like like you said, once it clicks, it just the over the pencil and the different things, you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things that like threw me off the most. I was just like, wait a minute. So I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna grab the stupid pencil and like let's see, like I like actually like put it in my mouth and was just like trying, and I was just like, oh, okay.
And it makes sense. Like after, like once you start doing it, it really does make
Does.
a ton of sense. And you're just like, okay. And the
Oh
resume of
yeah.
people that do it and have learned, like the bigger bands over the years, she's taught countless. And it's funny.
Oh yeah.
Other interviews,
She's
that's
like
probably one of the
saved
biggest
so
staples
many
is Zenna Screaming
people.
in some shape or form gets mentioned every time. Just about like
Oh yeah.
it's crazy how many people. It's across the board.
I can vouch for that like on my life. Like that course is it is a complete night and day like difference, and especially like from going into it and like coming out of it after like you like watch the whole thing and like apply it to like what you already know, or like train yourself to forget what you knew and apply that like strictly. And like I see like all these people, they were just like, oh, I was coughing up blood after my sets and everything. I never got to that point, thankfully,
It's crazy.
when like I was like being dumb with like my voice and whatnot. But like they were all like saying like I lost my voice like 2 days into a tour. I lost like my
Yep.
voice after like just an hour doing this, and I'm just like, she actually cared about the genre when a lot of like vocal coaches weren't like too keen on the idea of like trying to dissect like what that is.
Yeah. She's a staple for it. I mean, there was not a lot of information then. You had a couple bad YouTube videos back then, maybe, but there was
Yeah,
really no information on how to not hurt yourself and mess up your vocal cords.
absolutely. And like it was either like you knew how to do it or you were gonna like completely screw up your
Yeah.
vocal cords like trying.
I can't tell you how many bands the singer would get off stage and just couldn't talk. Just voice is gone
Yep.
completely. And I'm just like, man, I feel for you. I'm so sorry. Like, yeah, and you can help them
Yeah.
only so much, but I mean, so we were talking about mistakes, losing your voice. What are some early mistakes you made when you were learning?
Um,
Other than the no vocal rest, you
Definitely
brought that
knowing
up.
when
No
to
vocal
stop.
rest wasn't a thing.
Yeah. So definitely like knowing when to stop, because like, like I said, I would just keep going no matter what. I was so stubborn, I had to be able to do it. And I guess like that stubbornness like kept me like going, and it didn't benefit me in the long run during
Yeah.
those times. And like I also like would, oh my god, I I used to think that the phlegm in like your throat would like help out a lot. So I would like also like drink milk while I was like doing vocals, and I was
Oh
just
no.
like, why do I feel like I'm about to throw up?
Oh my god.
Like some like really stupid mistakes that like oh my god, I can't believe I like actually did that like looking back. But then again, I'm just like, yeah, I'm not surprised. Like younger me was like just stupid.
Those out there listening, don't drink milk when doing vocals. That's definitely
No,
don't do that.
no, definitely not. Don't like. I would drink like sodas, like milk, and all that stuff. And no, no, trust me, nope.
Nice. So, when you were learning and you were making all the mistakes and everything, where was there a moment that like stands out where you were just like, aha, it clicked? Was it just the Zenna Screaming watching that, or what? Did you do something? You're like, okay,
So I think when it really clicked was like, I was just kind of like sitting in my car like after like work one day, and I was just like screaming along, and I was noticing like I don't feel like out of breath. I don't feel like I'm forcing things. I feel like I'm actually like at like a really comfortable pace, and like that was just like with baseline stuff, because I had to like forget everything that I learned prior to like 2 3 years ago, and like relearn from scratch, because I feel like if like you're drawing blanks and whatnot, it's okay to like completely start from square one.
yeah,
And it's honestly like, instead of like being stubborn and being like, no, I know this technique works because it works for me, like even though it was like hurting me to an extent, I really like just sat down, did like a deep dive. I had like sessions with people and whatnot, and a lot of like their advice, like it helped me get like the basics down at least. But it was more so like after, especially the Zen of Screaming, when I like watched it all the way through, and like I unlocked like a lot more stuff that I could do with my voice after like applying that knowledge that Melissa Cross passed down through that course. I was just like, that's it. Like I was like just again sitting in the car because like I usually get home and like everybody's like all like I still live with like my family and whatnot, and I like everybody, they don't want to hear that. So like I just like practice in the car like here and there and whatnot, and like that was also because I was trying to like do it like in like secret too, because I walked in on me like screaming like really really shitty one day, and they were just like, this is like awful, and that was just like the biggest kick in the teeth. So I was like, yeah, I don't want them to hear this. So like if I sound like a dying animal, like they can't hear me.
Car and
But
shower is
like it
like the
was,
most practice places, I feel
oh
like.
yeah, oh 100%. Like I would just go in the car and like just practice like everything. And I think I sent like a couple videos. Like I'd always like be like documenting my progress and whatnot, and I would send it to like my buddy Connor and everything. He's just like, dude, this is like actually like good. And I never like believed it because I thought like because he's like one of my best friends. He's just blowing smoke and
Yeah.
whatnot. But then like after a while, like I was just like, huh, it's actually clicking this time. Like I'm not like drawing blanks anymore. Like I could just do it like on the spot. And I feel like that's what I struggled a lot with, especially over projecting. So like I finally like learned how to like that less is more, and like once I like really click that in and whatnot, like that's when it like all just hit and I was ready to just do it.
Is it kind of the same with singing as far as like over projecting and stuff like that? Do you have anything with that or?
I would definitely say so, in my opinion. For like what works for me is like I'm not really like the loudest vocalist. I actually am pretty quiet for the most part. I feel like it for me anyways, it seems like it's more frequency based, I guess. Like it's all like the same, it feels like it's just the same volume in my head, but it's just like the shape of my mouth and whatnot. Like if I'm like gonna go low, it'll
Yeah.
be a lower like frequency, whereas if I'm going high, I look like this, and like I look absolutely psychotic. But that's like I learned it like one of my old bands. Like we played a show with Attila, and Kala was on that bill. I think that was during their 10 years of Rage tour that like we like opened for them in Brooklyn. And my vocalist at the time, Wesley, he does vocals for a band called Burying Point and Tarsal now. He went up to Justin and he was like, hey, like I don't remember exactly how the conversation went and everything, but he was like, complimenting their set and whatnot, and asked for like some like pointers maybe, and he was just like, less is more. And like ever since, like it's always just been like night and day for him. So like that was like after I like really decided to like take it seriously, that's the one thing that I kept like drilling into my head. So like even with singing, like I don't really like push too hard. Like I don't like to, I guess, force it. If I know I like can't do it, I know that like I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like I know like ranges are like so limited, and you could grow your range, of course, I'm pretty sure, over time, but I don't like to like push because that's like, from past mistakes,
Yeah.
I've like messed up my voice from doing so.
So we'll talk about lyrics and stuff here in a little bit, but I wanted to ask, when you were starting, did you have any like, I guess role models, for lack of a better term, or anybody you looked up to as far as like vocals? You're like, man, I really like what they do, or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely. At first, like it was, all like like Levi Benton from Miss May I, Danny Warsnop from Asking Alexandria, Matt Tuck from Bullet for My Valentine, Chester from Linkin Park. And like as time went on, I heard all my friends were talking about this band Currents.
Currents is so good.
And
oh, they're so good.
Oh my god, dude, incredible. And I remember hearing, I think it was either Apnea or Night Terrors for the first time, and I was just blown away by Brian's vocal performance because I was like, that's not easy. Like I could tell, and like just the way like he goes about his deliverance and like his cadences are like, especially on The Place I Feel Safest, were like so unique. And then like I was always a fan of Invent, but when Marcus Vick joined the band, I was like, "Ooh, he's another one." And I remember him from his previous band, Aviana, I think. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but like he was always like a really, really great vocalist too. And I think like after I heard like those two, I was like, these guys are like really, really sick. And, in terms of like all the deathcore stuff, I always looked up to like Mitch Lucker. That's where like I like always like get like a lot of inspiration for like
So I wanted to bring that
screams
up
and
because
whatnot.
every time I listen to your stuff, when you do your highs, I hear Mitch so much. I don't know what it is, but it sticks out. I'm like, man, I wonder if Mitch is any kind of inspiration. I was kind of hoping you'd bring it up.
Yeah, no, Mitch is a very
I think it's just
big
the piercing,
inspiration
like banshee
because,
style highs that you do are very, to
yep.
me, favor kind of like, I don't know. I hear similarities in them, so I'm like, that sounds very Suicide
See,
Silency.
like, I've always loved high screams. Like like one of the songs that got me into metal was Morte Adabo, with Danny's doing like these crazy high screams, and then like as time went on, like I was listening to like Thy Artist Murder, Whitechapel, Oceano, Suicide Silence, and like, oh, I'm trying to remember some other ones, Chelsea Grin, and like I always love like those like banshee high screams,
Yeah.
even though like Oceano has like some pretty Oceano. Adam Warren could do some highs, but his lows are just like the beefiest lows I think
Yeah.
I've ever heard in my life. Like that dude is such a beast. But like I always got really like the high screams were always what like struck me. And hearing like Brian do some of them on some of current songs and Marcus like get up there in some Invent songs, I was just like, oh, it's like really, really cool to see that. And so like there's so many. Those are all like probably like the vocalists that I could like name off the top of my head that like really inspired me, but there's like tons more. Like I'm pretty sure I can go on and on.
Dude, there's so many. Speaking of Oceana, have you heard their
Oh
new
yeah.
song? Have you heard of the new? Crazy.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so different for them, but
It's
it's so
so
good.
sick. I honestly like the little bit of melody that they've been like
Yeah, no,
slipping
I
into
love
their
it. I
music.
heard it and I was like, this is different, but I'm really into it. Like I really, really like
Oh
it.
yeah, 100%. I
You were talking
heard
about the
like mass
atmospheric.
produced
It's
when it came
that too,
out.
the melody and then like the like the ambient behind, like the backing
Yep.
stuff. It's so good.
Oh yeah, when I heard mass produced, I think it was last year they put it out or
Yeah.
something like that. Like that little like melodic section, I was like, "Ooh, okay, that's different for them." And that's one thing that I love. And like even like with a band like Lorna Shore, they incorporate like so much like melody and atmosphere to their music. And like melody and atmosphere in heavy music, I'm a sucker for.
Yeah.
Like I that is always where you're gonna like see me saying like that's my favorite. That's what I love.
So I need to
And
I'm gonna ask a tough question for you. A little bit off
shoot,
topic, but best vocalist out right now. Do you have an opinion? Because there's a lot of just
ooh,
crazy vocalists doing wild things. Who do you think the best is? Putting you on the spot with the hard hitting questions.
oh man, that is a tough one. So in terms of like based on like what I've seen live for like a flawless performance, in my opinion, I think like Will from Lorna Shore is just, I'm pretty sure that's a very common answer
Yeah,
that
I
you
mean,
get.
I'm right there with you. Just hearing the different ones. There's
He's
so many insane vocalists, and
incredible.
then lyricists. Like that's a whole different debate and stuff like that. But as far as like just range and what that guy can do, it's stupid.
Oh yeah, 100%. Him and I'll give my top five.
Okay.
How about that? Brian Willie from Currents.
Okay.
He was incredible. I have to say Yasmin from Face Yourself.
Okay.
I'm
Nice.
not sure if you've heard of that band, but they're based out of New York, I believe, and New Jersey. Some of the members are from New Jersey, I believe. But she is incredible.
Okay.
Like the range she has is insane. Like I got to see them at their debut show at this venue called the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey, and it was just unbelievable. Like that I think was one of like the best shows that I've ever seen a band put on. Next, I would say Marcus from Invent Animate. Like, just them live is just as good as it is in the studio. And I know he doesn't scream much nowadays, but still a flawless, like, vocalist. Rory from Dayseeker.
Oh yeah. Rory's
Like,
God, dude, they're so good.
the
They're
consistency.
so
The
good.
consistency. Like, he never misses a note, and he's just so, like, he's got the energy, the rain. It's like there's no difference between the studio recordings and live.
Yeah. He's
It's
insane.
amazing. Oh yeah, absolute unit.
Nice. All right. So, do you have any routines you do before vocals, and does it change based on variables like playing a show in the studio, tour, practice, or even if you're feeling under the weather? Does it fluctuate at all, or what do you do to get ready?
Okay, so usually first thing I do, I actually like have it like right now. I make my tea. It's a throat coat.
Nice.
I'm sure that's something that a couple people probably have like mentioned on this before, and honestly, it really. Ooh, sorry about that. It helps a lot with like, I guess the honey that like I'll put in and whatnot. I use like local honey, and it just like helps like my throat like really. It helps soothe it
Yeah.
a lot, and I make sure that like my sinuses are like clear because like I have major allergies. Like
And phlegm
seasonal
is bad.
allergies are, yep, seasonal allergies are year round for me. So I always like have to like I always make sure like my sinuses are all cleared up and whatnot, and I'll try and like maybe see like it may be like a little bit of an unorthodox method, but I try to like make sure that like I don't have a lot of phlegm in my throat as well. So like the tea will like help with that a lot, or I'll like just like gently hack it up, like not like force it out, but
Yeah.
like just gently, because it gets in the way a little bit. Because like there's been like some times where like I've been at practice and whatnot, and then like all of a sudden that phlegm is coming up while I'm like doing a high. I'm like ah. And I'll do I honestly try to go about like the same routine whether I'm going into the studio or in vocals. I treat everything like I'm like about to like I have to give it like my 100%. I don't like to cut corners or anything, so I'll do like, some lip rolls. I think that's like a pretty common warm up. I'll like do like the Melissa Cross, like the big face, little
Yeah.
face, and
The
like,
super embarrassing stuff you don't want people to see that you have to do.
oh yeah, the
Yeah.
tongue warm ups, and
Yeah.
like there's this one warm up that actually like helps me out a lot, and it's like this warm up where like it's hard to explain, so it's just like the visual. It's
Yeah.
like you like move your like lips around and whatnot, and it like really helps like the big face, little face, and that like really helps like loosen me up and whatnot. I'll try to like give my like the muscles in my face like a little bit of a massage. This way I'm just like nice and loose, and I'll stretch too, just because like I want to be like just completely like no tension. I just want to be relaxed. And I'll do my warm ups. I want to say like I go for about like half hour to 45 minutes
Okay.
is what I usually try to go for like warming up. And then I'll like gently start to ease into it and then like go for it. And then I'll get ready to do whatever I need to do, whether it's go and record or go get on the stage and whatnot and play a show. And after the show, I always try to rest my voice for a very short period of time before I go over to the merch table to like talk to people and whatnot and like help sell some of the shirts. Like I'll try to rest my voice for like 10 minutes and drink some tea after
Yeah.
my
I was
set.
gonna
I
ask if you drink tea
always
after
try
the
to
set
stay
or after you do vocals.
100%. I like to drink it like I'm a tea person in general, so I like to drink it like a lot in general, not just like for my voice. Like
Yeah.
that's just like I actually like it. So I'll drink some tea before my set and whatnot, and I'll drink a lot afterwards. But I always try to like stay as hydrated as possible
Yeah.
because that's insanely important, especially for like right now it's like 93 degrees here. So like staying hydrated in the heat is like really important. But when
Absolutely.
I'm under the weather, I try not to do much at all if I'm like actually sick. If I'm like a little under the weather, I just dial it back as much as I can before it like starts to just sound weak. Like I want to like find like that sweet spot where it's like just like it's still like good, but it's not like weak.
Yeah.
Because when you're sick and you're under the weather, you tend to like over project sometimes,
Yeah.
and I try to like avoid that as much as possible.
It's like you're overcompensating, and so you like you do too much, and then you hurt
hundred
yourself.
percent.
And
Yep. And that's like always the winter for me is when like it is the worst.
so what all do you do for vocal care? I know you were talking about drinking tea. You're a big tea drinker. Do you do anything else for vocal care other than vocal rest? I know that's like
So
the most important.
vocal rest 100%. I try to get as much sleep as I possibly can, although I have insomnia. So it's like, you know, some days I'll get like a decent amount of sleep. Some days I won't be sleeping at all. I just won't like go too crazy if I don't sleep too well. I try to, you know, just stay hydrated every day. Sometimes, like, if I know that, like, I've been doing, like, vocals, like, a lot, like, I'll just, like, take some time and just, like, relax, rest. Um, I also, like, what is that? I'm trying to think of some other things because there's a couple different things that I do. It's just like right now I'm just like drawing blanks.
Yeah.
I always try to, you know, keep like make sure that, you know, everything is just I'll always try and like make sure I'm like still doing everything at like a very comfortable like pace and not like over projecting. I always try to like troubleshoot if I notice like anything is off as quickly and efficiently as possible. But I think rest and just like avoiding certain like things, especially when you know you're going to be doing vocals, like I stay away from like cheese, milk, dairy, carbonated beverages and
Yeah.
whatnot. Or like even like I don't really like to drink in general, but I won't drink before I do vocals anyways. Like I'll like drink like occasionally here and there, like not a lot, but I try to avoid like alcohol because it just dries me up and like try not to eat anything like acidic, I guess, before I'm like doing vocals or like right after too. Just because like I want to like make sure like I'm all good and like just rest it and make sure that I'll be good for the next one.
Yeah. It's crazy like how much vocal care has changed over the years. It used to just be like, I go scream
Oh
and
yeah.
then, I cough blood or lose my voice, and then I go the next show. It's like
Yup.
now, there's like regiments and stuff, and it's awesome, like how much it's evolved just across the board.
100%. Because I feel like if this was like 15, 20 years ago for me, and I was like in this position, I would probably like be losing my voice like after like 4 shows on a tour.
Yeah. It happened a lot.
I'm like really glad that like there's a lot of things are like very regimented now, because there's just so many different ways that you could go about like taking care of your voice. And like it's just mind blowing how much everything has changed and how much like people like really like took a deep dive into this.
Yeah. There's so much information and techniques and stuff out there. You talked about warming up 30 to 45 minutes. Have you ever warmed up too much? It is possible to like over warm up and kind of like, I guess, tire yourself out. Have you ever done that?
Yes, I have before. I like tried to like do like, one of my friends told me like when I like first started out and whatnot, like I had to warm up for like an hour to like an hour and a half and whatnot.
Oh, wow.
And I like tried
That's a
doing that,
long
and I was
warm
just
up.
like, that's overkill, don't you think? And like I did it anyways, because I didn't know any better. And like after I like did the warm ups and everything, I was just like, no.
Yeah.
Like you kind of like you go for it, and then you realize like, yeah, no, not today.
Hour and a half is insane. That's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't an hour and a half. I wasn't gonna do that. I think that's definitely like overkill. But like some people, they'll warm up for like an hour, and like I mean, if that's what works, 100%. But
Yeah.
I think like
Each person's
half
different.
hour to
You
like
got to find that sweet spot for
100%. For me, that sweet spot's like between like half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But I'll usually like I don't usually tend to like go near like 45 minutes. I usually go like maybe a little over a half hour.
Yeah.
Just because like I think it's all I really need to like open up like my voice and like get my jaw loose and whatnot, and make sure that like I'm like all relaxed, there's no tension, and I could just go for it from there.
Yeah. All right.
Sometimes I'll do like a vocal mist treatment. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
I've
Like
heard of it. I've heard people using it. Do you like it?
I do, and it actually like really really helps me, especially like when I'm going into like an environment where it's like, okay, like I use it a lot during the winter, and it really helped me out a lot. I could definitely say that.
Is it like a throat coat, pretty much, or?
It helps like hydrate the vocal cords.
Okay.
And also like it helps out with like clearing up like your like any like it like all like mucus will like be cleared up and whatnot. Like it'll all come up, and it's not like throw up obviously, but
Yeah.
like
You
it
use it before
really
vocals
helps,
or
like,
after?
open you up. I will do it before and sometimes after.
Okay.
I think doing it after helps, because like after like you're on the stage and like you're all like sweaty, and like after you down those like water bottles and whatnot,
Yeah.
it's like good to like hydrate a little more, not overhydrate, but like just like after a little bit, you rest your voice a little bit, do one more, and then like should be good to go. I only usually use it like in like really 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 like cold environments, or like whenever like it's allergy season. It helps out a lot.
Okay. Nice. Vocal mist. All right. So lyrics. Where do you pull from lyrics? Do you do concept lyrics? Do you pull from personal experience? What is your go-to when you're writing lyrics? What do you do?
So I usually try to pull from personal experience, just because a lot of the music that I listened to growing up was very like raw, very vulnerable, and there was, I battled like depression while I was like growing up and whatnot. I was always just like so miserable because I didn't really have like a lot of friends when I was younger and whatnot. I had like a very like select few, and I was just very quiet too. And I feel like the music really like spoke to me, and I feel like it's just nice to be like vulnerable and open about like those past experiences, like I tend to write a lot about like depression, regret, heartbreak, which is a pretty common theme, and even like just drawing from like places of anger, and some places like sometimes concepts like problems that like you see in like the world around you, and like what you like wish like people would like maybe see, or you want to like see a change like happen, but you're not really seeing like progress and whatnot. I like Architects was a band that like I listened to a lot when I was younger too, and like a lot of like their albums like centered around like those kind of like concepts, and so like I it's kind of like a fine line between both, but I for the most part draw from like personal experience.
Yeah, it's definitely easier to get more emotionally invested when it's personal experience, and it's
100%.
easier to relate. I've done both. I've done concept songs, and I've done songs about personal experience. Personal experience is definitely what I tend to lean more to, but concept stuff is
Absolutely.
cool. But yeah, you get more. For me personally, I get more amped up, and then also I know people can relate more because people are going through a lot of the same things, like you said, heartbreak, depression, different
100%.
things, loss in life. All that stuff is like universal things that everyone pretty much goes through at some point in time. So
Absolutely. And that's what I like to see. And especially like in this genre where a lot of people like tend to like paint it out to just be like, oh, like this is like so violent and like so angry. One thing I love about like this genre in particular is how really emotionally driven it is, and how vulnerable like the music is. Like if you like were to show somebody, let's say like I don't know, A Match Made in Heaven or Gone with the Wind by Architects, for an example. And yeah, we'll go with Gone with the Wind. They'll be like, oh, why is he angry? Read the lyrics. Oh, wow, that's actually like really, really like emotionally like deep. And it's like very vulnerable, and it hits really hard. Like it's relatable. And especially like to somebody who like maybe has just like lost someone from like an illness, and because that song was about, I believe it was about Tom's battle with cancer before he died, if I'm not mistaken. But like a lot of like the lyrics, and like one band in particular, the Color Morale, like they were pretty heavy back in the day, I believe, and I like to think so, anyways, because that was like one of the bands, like along with like Asking, that like got me into all this too. I would always be listening to like, oh my god, a lot of their like material, but like a lot of their lyrics are centered around mental illness and the stigma against it. And I think my favorite album by them, No Hope, really tackled that. And I think that's where I was just like, yeah, if I'm gonna like be in a band writing songs and whatnot, I want to draw from like majority personal experience, because this album really helped get me through some shit.
yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things about this genre. To me, like you listen to different genres, and sometimes it's more focused on a specific topic, right? Like it's
Absolutely.
but in metal and this genre, you can write lyrics, and what you write, this person in the crowd, it may identify or hit with them a certain way, and they may associate a certain way with those lyrics that you necessarily
Absolutely.
isn't how you wrote it. Like it may have meant this to you, but this to them. And that's
Right.
one of the things that I always really like, because it resonates in different ways with different people, and it can and helps people a lot. I mean, there's lyrics and lines that people latch onto that are very powerful for them, and I love that about it.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. I love how like everybody can like take the lyrics of a song and like interpret it in their own like individual way. Like somebody actually left a comment on one of our reels, and it was like the breakdown of Paramount, and the lyric was "The ghost of my past won't define me." It's like a really straightforward like song about like regrets of like choices that I made in the past, and how like it like I held on to like those regrets for like so long, and like eventually like learned to just let go and forgive myself, and not let like my past mistakes like define who I am as a person today. and somebody said that they left a comment and they said that that line alone is like really helping me like stay like on the sober train and whatnot.
That's
And
awesome.
like that like made my day seeing that, because it's just like it wasn't like I didn't like write that song with like addiction in mind or anything like that. It was about like my own like stupid decisions that I'd made in the past that like I like beat myself up over. And like seeing somebody like interpret it that way in such a big way to them is just such a humbling and like incredible feeling. Like it really like, oh my god, I felt like so happy when I saw that. And I like reached out to the guy and I was just like, I'm really proud of you, and like I'm glad that like the song is like resonating with you like that.
That's so cool. That's super awesome. It's
It's
crazy to think
always such
like
a good
stuff that you
feeling.
write, like your music and stuff, just in general, not just you, but like as a whole, as like musicians, that how
Oh yeah,
impactful it can be and how much it can mean to people. I mean, it's and then whenever you see it,
absolutely.
it just it's mind blowing. It's really cool.
100%. And like the thing is, like, you know, like we never like expected like anything to like have like an impact on anybody. And the fact that it's like there's a few people who like our music has like really touched and like impacted. And like it's a very rewarding feeling, because I often reflect on the times that like I heard a song and it really impacted me in that way, you know,
Yeah.
and it went such a long way for me and got me through these tough times. So it makes me feel like really accomplished, like knowing that like even like maybe something that I'm doing and writing, a lyric that I'm writing is like somebody's like reason that they smiled today.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. It's such a good feeling. Staying on lyrics, do you have lyricists that you look up to? I know we talked about vocalists and like vocal patterns and ranges and stuff. Lyricists
Ooh,
though, I
so
feel like
that is
Currents
a
might be coming
really
again.
good
I don't know
one.
though.
Actually, yeah, I would definitely say Currents is coming again. Brian's lyrics are awesome. Like I feel like Currents really tells a story with
Yeah,
their music, and that's why I love like their first two albums so much. Even though the Death We Seek wasn't really like too story driven, I still enjoyed like the lyrics that like he put together for that record. And you know, I like Garrett Rapp's lyrics a lot too, because it's very straightforward, raw, and in your face about like the message of like, you know, trying to like completely derail the stigma against mental health. And it's like very real about what it's like to live with mental health. And I don't know who primarily writes a majority of the lyrics in August Burns Red. I believe all of them contribute lyrically, but a lot of their songs too are just so beautifully written, and a lot of their stuff got me through some like really tough times as well. And so like I like a lot of bands like that with that lyrical style. They could like really tell a story and rope you in, or if it's just like very raw and in your face.
yeah,
And Invent Animate does a good job at that too. I think Marcus does a phenomenal job lyrically. Like I feel like their music, it's the lyrics are so fitting with the atmosphere of their music, and also it's like they do a really good job of telling a story too.
yeah. Nice. Do you have a favorite lyric? It can be your own, or it can be one from a song, or you can do both.
Oh, oh man, that's a tough one.
It is. That's a hard one.
We're breaking out the hard ones now. um, I, whew, that is a really, really tough one. Um, I have something on the tip of my tongue, but I literally can't even get it out. I'm just like, ah. Um,
Do you have one of your own favorite lyrics from something you've wrote?
I would probably say, um, the hmm. Paramount definitely has like a lot of those like moments where like I feel like some of my favorite lyrics came about. Um, that song is like a very like freeing song for me whenever we like play it live because I always come back and like as I'm like singing those words, I get that same feeling as like when I first wrote it, and it's like I'm letting go of like all of this stuff and whatnot. And the ending call out, even though it's like very like straightforward, the ghost of my past won't define me. I feel like it's a very like powerful like statement in a song that like we like close the song out with that, and every time like it resonates with me well, and it's also a reminder to myself.
Yeah.
Every time I like listen back or like hear it. And as far as
Very
another
therapeutic.
like lyric, I have a song.
Oh,
I don't remember the lyric entirely, but I'm actually gonna look at it right now. It is off of Current's album, The Place I Feel Safest. And I think it was off of I'm Not Waiting. Um, I can't see the future, but I refuse to stay on my knees, so I'm not waiting for you. It's up to us to change the problems we see. I think it's something that's very relevant to like the world that we live in nowadays. Like a lot of people I feel like expect like things to just like magically like change, but it's up to us to like really like go and make that difference and whatnot. And time is endlessly flowing forward, and so like if we want to make a difference, it's we just got to do it. We got
yeah.
to get up and actually do something about it. And I feel like the same can be applied to like some like anytime like I go into like a rut of some sorts, like a really like depressive rut, I'll just be like, well, it's nobody else could really get me out of this except for me, so I got to do something about it. I can't wait to just like I can't just wait for things to just magically get better. I got to make things like happen.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was a really powerful like lyric. When I first heard that, it was really, really, really like I was like, ooh, I like that a lot.
Nice. Current's theme today. I like it. It's a good band. It's a
Oh
really good
yeah.
band. Do you have a favorite Current song since we've talked about Currents?
So I'm either torn between Apnea, the title track, The Place I Feel Safest, or Better Days.
Nice.
I think those are like my top three favorite songs by them. They're just they hit all the time.
Very nice. Very nice. I don't know why Vengeance has been stuck in my head a lot. It's so heavy,
Vengeance
so
is
mean.
so good. I
It gets
love
caught in
that
my head, and
song.
I'm stuck on it for a while.
Every time I'm just like I hear that like drum pattern, I'm like dun, 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 dun,
It's so
dun. Like
good.
it just gets stuck in my head. Like it's Brian's vocals on their latest album were like amazing.
They're super talented. It's crazy. Currents is a fantastic band.
Oh, 100%.
All right. So, do you have tips for new songwriters? Lyrically, patterns, flow, all that good stuff, so forth.
So, tips for new songwriters coming from me, and this is going to be very hypocritical coming from me because I am a very, very big overthinker, is don't overthink it.
Do
So,
as I
I'm
say,
giving
not as I
advice
do.
that I struggle. Yeah, do not do as I do. Because like I'll write one line and I'll just be like, oh, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I'll get like so like frustrated trying to figure something out. Whereas like now, like what I like to do is like just jot down a bunch of different things and like different thoughts and whatnot, and just write, and then go back and reassess like later on as like maybe like as like the days like coming to an end and whatnot, and I'm just like relaxing, and I'll just go back and like start like trying to like word it into like lyrics. And not everything has to rhyme.
Yeah.
That's something that like I had to learn because I was just like I don't know, like it's good to like rhyme, of course, like here and there, or like every other line, but not everything has to like rhyme all the time.
Yeah. It's more about the story really than just
Absolutely,
the rhyming.
100%. And if you're trying to get a message across with this song and you want people to perceive that message, but you feel like it's not good because it doesn't rhyme or you think it doesn't flow exactly right, it's probably worth trying.
Yeah.
You know, I like to go about different flows whenever like we go into the studio. I'll try and like I'll like be like humming something in my head or like coming up with like a flow in my head and just try a different couple different routes before I like settle on something.
Yeah.
Or not settle, but 100% pick something. But another thing is I made this mistake as well for aspiring vocalists who are fronting like your band for the first time and whatnot, and you're writing all these lyrics. You don't have to go like make it insanely verbose. You have to keep in mind that you need some room to breathe
Yeah.
because sometimes some of these songs can be very, very difficult because it's just nonstop rapid fire, and I don't have a break until like a minute and 30 seconds in, you know? So you kind of got to like make sure that you leave yourself room to breathe. I remember like seeing, once again, Currents at a show. I got VIP tickets, and Brian was saying how like he recorded The Place I Feel Safest, and then like they started playing. He's like, "Oh fuck, I gotta play these live. These are really difficult."
Yeah.
You know,
It's very
so
different in the
I
studio when you're
like,
like, "Oh, this is a great idea. Let's do all this crazy stuff," and
oh,
then live, you're like,
100%.
"Oh shit,
Because you
this is
could do
rough."
some crazy stuff in the studio, and then you're about to go on stage, and you're like, "Oh wait, I have to do this live now every night."
Yeah, it's rough. So speaking of live and parts, what do you have a part that's your favorite to perform live, and do you have a part that you dread live? So we all know there's parts that you're like you said, that you write something in the studio, and you're like,
Oh yeah.
damn. Then when you get on stage, it's like, here we go, here's this part, and then there's other parts that you're like super amped up to do. So which one do you have each?
All right. So my favorite lately, like, it was never my favorite song on the EP, but it's hands down my favorite to play live. Just because the energy that we get every time that we play this, it's Hive Mind.
Okay.
That song is like, it really, really has like a really good like, what's the word? Um, Response. It has a really good live response, and that tends to be the song where all the guys, they start like really going ham and everything. They're like doing spins, they're like swinging their instruments and stuff, and like our guitarist like Eli, he gets like so hyped, and he's just like screaming like during like the while we're playing and whatnot, and like just getting the crowd hyped up, and it like motivates me to like go a little harder too. But as for parts that I dread, probably like, well, Looking Glass is a very difficult song for like the first half of it because like it's nonstop.
Yeah.
And then I guess that, I don't know how long that was. It was probably like 18 seconds, maybe. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. Don't quote me on that. But that really long scream at the end of Rain Dance, that's always like a difficult one because it's just like, okay, let's make sure I'm holding this, but I'm not like over projecting.
Yeah. Those
And
long
like
ones are
sometimes,
brutal.
oh yeah.
So
Originally, I wanted to make it like 30 seconds. That I tried it in the studio. I was just like, wait a minute, I have to do that live. No, don't get ahead of yourself.
God, that's crazy. Do you have a favorite call out? Do you like to say
I'll try to
random
like,
stuff? Do you just kind of have like the same thing you say? Like what? Because I know there's certain call outs that pretty
So
much stay the same. People will like, it's kind of known for like a certain part of the song. But then there's also like parts where it's just random stuff gets said.
oh yeah, absolutely. There's a couple like call outs that like really like made me laugh that like I've seen on like TikTok. Like Kyle from Body Snatcher.
Dude,
There's that
he's
one
always
video.
my
He's just like,
example, and the reason I have this question, just
oh yeah,
the one I've
100%.
seen one. It's because body snatchers stupid heavy. They're so heavy.
Oh yeah.
And it's like so heavy, and then I was out of nowhere. He's something about Chipotle's out of guac or something, and then it goes into a breakdown, and I'm just like, what? Like, what the hell was that? It's wonderful. I love it because the crowd's like, wait, what? And then they just start going nuts.
Oh yeah. I saw one where it was what is it? He was just like, act like they just fucked your order up at McDonald's, and then like everybody just starts like going crazy. Or like Matt Honeycutt, I think is his name, from Kublai Khan. He was like, I want you to turn someone into guacamole and tell me what it tastes like.
I love wild callouts like that. They're so much fun.
Oh my god, same here. And like me, like I'm not like the most like, I don't know, like I feel like I don't like come up with stuff like that like off the top of my head while I'm like on stage. Like I'll have some funny ideas and whatnot, but like never execute them because I'm just like, I waited too long. Oh, here comes the breakdown. But I think like there was like this one I said, like I thought I got a good kick out of it and everything, and some people started to like mosh afterwards because I was just like, did you come here to stand around or did you come to fight your friends? And like everybody just started like moshing and like beating each other up.
That's great.
And of course that was during Hive Mind, so it was like I was just like, yep, there we go, goal accomplished.
Nice. So what about being a vocalist on stage and stuff, being the front man? Because it is all eyes are on you essentially for like, do you have any tips for new vocalists? Because it can be, it's definitely intimidating. Like it's one thing to practice with your friends, but then when you get on stage and you have a room full of strangers staring at you, you're just like, okay, it's.
Yeah. So like this is my first band that I've ever done like vocals for. I like to say this is my first band.
Yeah, we're not counting the other one.
I did it. Yeah, we're not going to count that. That did not happen. But our first show, like I'd never done a show as a vocalist before. It was all just like, just me in my basement writing like music that me and my friends thought we produced and mixed and did all that and put it out. It was, just, yeah, we don't got to go into that. But my first show, I was so nervous, man. Like, I practiced before I'd done the studio, before our first show and whatnot, and I was comfortable with like the guys and whatnot. But we took a show that we thought wasn't going to have a lot of people, and we released Mania, and Mania did fairly well. By the time that show came around, and I think it was like almost at like 50,000 streams, and we got like a decent amount of followers, and we posted it, and a lot of people said they were going to go to the show. And we were playing with a band called Diamonds to Dust. Their vocalist Christian is insane. Like, oh my god, that dude's range is ridiculous. But we were expecting to open that show, and they like put us on as like a co-headlining spot, and I was like, oh, okay,
no pressure.
So then like as the night was going on and whatnot, like we saw like a lot more people rolling in, and I thought like we were gonna play a show to like, it was at a ice arena in Brewster, and it's in this like little room, and it has like a small kind of like floor, but they also have like risers and stuff for like the vocalists to like get on and whatnot. But it was more of a floor show. And I think there was like maybe like 100 to like maybe 150 people there. I don't know exactly how much, but like for a first show, that was nerve wracking. And I remember just like we opened with Looking Glass. Nobody knew any of the songs except for Mania at the time. And I want to say like it was the same when I played like my first ever show. Like you're gonna be like feeling like so nervous, like you're gonna crap yourself for like the first 30 seconds, and like once you're in your zone doing the thing,
it's like a switch.
All that
flips.
goes out. 100%. And that was even like some of my guys' first ever show. And like, so they were like feeling just as nervous as I was, but because I had like played shows before, I was trying to like keep it in, not show them I was nervous, but like in reality, I was like, oh my God.
We our first show ever, our lead guitarist and who did like the songwriting and stuff, he we didn't really know this until then, because like, it's different when you're in the band, or even if some friends come like to watch band practice and hang out, it's a different vibe. But when we were at the show, found out that he would get really anxious and he had anxiety, and like we're just like, oh no, how's this about to go? And like we got on stage, I'm like, please don't freeze, just like, like, you're fine, dude. And he was like, you could tell nervous, but then as soon as the set kicked on, like he just started headbanging and going crazy. And I was like, he's golden. I was like,
yeah.
It was such a sigh of relief.
As soon as you press play, that's it.
Yeah, like once the set starts, it's on.
100%. We have like backing tracks and whatnot for like our like the ambience and all that stuff, and all the like the atmospheric elements to like play over like the PA and whatnot. We run it through our laptop, and as soon as we press play, like as soon as I hear like that reverse like clean guitar come in for a looking glass, I'm in my zone like immediately. And all the other guys like now are definitely the same way, because like now like we're just like so hyped whenever we get to go up there, and it's night and day difference. But don't like I've been like rambling, but I totally like lost sight of like the actual question. But like that's pretty much like some like advice that I could give is like, you're gonna feel nervous for the first 30 seconds, but once you're in your zone, you are not, those nerves are gonna completely leave.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel amazing after you get off the stage, and then you're gonna be so upset that was like the quickest like 20 minutes to 30 minutes of your life.
It flies.
And you're going to want to do it all the time.
Yeah. It's addictive.
That's
really addictive. There's nothing like playing
100%.
a live show. There's no other energy anywhere like playing a live show, like a live metal show. It's insane.
Oh, no. Not at all. Nothing compares, in my opinion. Like, it is the best feeling in the world.
And I don't know about you. For me, if I had like a really bad day, like I was just really pissed off, just a really shitty day, I would get up there and I would take a little bit of that and I'd be like, all right, I'm a little mad today. And so like I would kind of let that out, and it would be more energy, more, and the crowd would always get even more amped. And so it was like that transference of like energy back and forth, and like I would get even more pumped, they would get more pumped, and like back and forth, and the band would get even more fired up.
100%.
And it was, it's fantastic. It's so good. I miss the live show so much. It's crazy.
No, dude, that's literally like how I would go about it too. Because there's been a couple shows where I've had a real bad day, and like I remember there was this one show. This is when I was playing guitar in a band, and my Helix wasn't working. That's what I used to like play live and whatnot, and I was
tech
so
issues
pissed,
are the worst.
but oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't miss it. I don't miss like guitar, like equipment issues at all. But I was so mad, but like it finally started working, but I was still mad that it like took that long to get working, because it like cut into our set time a little bit. So I just like went extra hard and started like swinging my guitar around, like headbanging even crazier, like moving around, and like that, like people eat that kind of stuff up. Like somebody like Tuck from Fit for a King, for example, the dude's like swinging his bass around, like they're calling him like the human Beyblade and shit, like I'm seeing on like Instagram. And like he's like, people go crazy for them because of the energy that this guy brings to the live show. And like that's the kind of stuff I like to see. I love to see like people moving around like crazy, because that gets me hyped. That makes me want to get in that pit.
I was always excited for bands that had really good live energy.
Oh, 100%. Same here.
So do you have any awkward moments on stage? Since we're talking about stage, is there any like or awkward show like super awkward?
Oh
times?
yeah, there was this one. It was I think it was our second show. It was our album release show, and like it was like during Paramount, and I saw a bunch of people singing along. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. If you know these words, scream it back. The ghost of my past. And I held the mic out, and like one person said, "Won't define me," and I was like, oh. I was so embarrassed, and then like I had to like play it off, and I like the guys were just like roasting me for it afterwards, and they're just like nobody said it back, and I was like, I'm never doing that again.
We played. Our drummer was into like lowrider trucks and stuff, and so he had like a group of like truck buddies, and he was
Right.
like, let's play a show for them," and I was like, "Whatever, cool." Essentially, it's like another practice. So we set up. And you had like all these people in a circle around us, which was pretty sick, like to be completely surrounded. But I don't know if they thought we were like a rock band or what they thought he played. But when we started and I started screaming, they were horrified looking at me. They were just like, "What in the hell is happening?" And it was just all these surprised faces, just jaws open. And it was so awkward. It was the most awkward like 40 minutes of my life. Because in between, there was like silence. They were just like, "What the shit is this?" it was eventful. Might have.
Oh my
there.
god, that's always like I love moments like that.
So awkward. Afterwards, I was like, "Dude, did you not ever let him listen to our band?" He was like, I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, come on, dude!" Like, for real.
No, you didn't.
It was like it's like they expected Nickelback or something, and then I just start screaming at them like crazy, and they're just like, "What the hell? Is this dude possessed?"
Oh my god, literally. So we this was I want to say it was like 3 years ago, maybe 4, I don't remember. No, it was 3 because 2020 was 4 years ago. The world was like not functioning. I was in a band and we played a festival in Brooklyn, and Body Snatcher was the headliner. And me and my buddy, we were just like, we knew what was coming. We're like, all right, time to start kicking people. We were just joking and shit. And then like Kyle gets up there and he's just like, everybody come out to the front. We're a metalcore band. We're not heavy.
Oh my god.
And you had the people who knew who Body Snatcher was and either A, wanted to like jump up on the stage and like stage dive, or like the people who were like ready to just start like tearing shit up. And then you had the people who did not know what was going to happen. So, like, they opened with King of the Rats.
Oh, those poor people.
The looks on some of their faces once everybody started moshing within 5 seconds of the song was like horror.
I love stuff like that. It's so good.
So do I. Like, it's the funniest thing to watch. And then, like, I got like, oh my god, I was just like in tears the entire time because I was laughing so much.
Good.
Like,
Body Snatcher loves to
honestly
troll. They seem like really good dudes though. Body Snatcher, like,
they're sweethearts. I've met Kyle a couple times.
It's so funny
chatted.
to see that in the metal scene, like, because it definitely gets a bad rap. You would think like hateful, mean people, and then you go to shows and it's honestly like bands and the fans a lot of times are some of the nicest people on earth.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And it's just I remember the first show I went to, I was like, okay. And then I started just talking to people. I was like, damn, these people are awesome. Like, they're super cool.
Yeah.
Give you shirt off their back. Like, really, really cool people.
100%. And that's what I love the most about like this metal scene and whatnot. Like, and the reason I say like just the metal scene in general is as like universal, because the companionship between everybody is like incredible to see, because I feel like you don't really see that a lot in like other genres.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like this, like if someone falls, you pick them right back up. And like these people they'll like meet you for like 5 minutes and they'll treat you like family.
Yeah.
And like they will give you the shirt off their back, and like you said, like everybody is just so accepting and just so like there's such a really big camaraderie, and I love it.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt like more at home somewhere than like being a part of this.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so back to the other questions. So this is a little bit of a weird one, but
Okay.
not sure how familiar you are with like sports and stuff, but a lot of the athletes have like pre-game rituals they'll do, like weird things. Like it could be, wearing a certain pair of socks or anything like that. Do you have any pre-show rituals or pre-studio rituals? Do you do anything weird beforehand besides the vocal like care things? Is there any kind of weird like superstition thing you do or anything like that?
Unfortunately not, but like we've been like talking about like we want to have like a little like pre-show like hype up like circle and whatnot to like hype each other up, like
I know a lot of
say
bands do
something
that
funny,
though, kind of like
or,
this
like
I don't know, good luck kind of let's go kick ass kind of thing. Like it's like a little, like you said, like almost a pep talk beforehand.
yeah, absolutely. We did it once for our album release show, and that was back in February, and that was also at the Williams Center. We had a little like huddle, I think, and we got up. We just like walked on, did our thing. And honestly, like that show in particular, like I walked on with so much energy and left with so much energy. But we don't really have like a particular like pre-show ritual or like anything like that, and I personally don't either, but it's definitely nice to have. I definitely
it's
think
a weird
really
question,
good,
but I have to
like,
ask it because it's people, everybody does things different. So some people like drink stuff beforehand. Some people like, I don't know, there's all kinds of different things that people would do. It's pretty to get in the zone. One guy would do push-ups before studio just to get the blood flowing. He would always do push-ups. There's just different things.
Actually, there is something. It sounds like it's gonna sound really weird. Okay, so yeah, I do have one, I guess. There's these like little lollipops, and they're for like kids when they get like a sore throat.
Yeah.
It's like made with like honey, and they're called like lollies. You can get them at like CVS or like Walgreens, but it really, really helps like with like my throat, like overall. Like I'm not like screaming from like like my throat and whatnot, but like it really helps like for like an extra like just to like get that like extra coating and whatnot, and it also like tastes good too. I'm not gonna lie, I have a sweet tooth, but it's kind of like it's pretty much another like kind of like cough drop or whatever, but it's like it really helps out with like your throat and whatnot. And personally, I think it helps a lot better than like cough drops, like for even when you're sick or like you're about to play a show. Like I'll like have like one of those lollipops like maybe a half hour before we go on, or whatever, and they help. They work for me anyways.
Nice.
So I guess that's like a weird pre-show ritual. I have a lollipop that's like made out of honey.
Hey, it works, man. All right. So what's going on in the world of Hallow Sanctum? Do we have anything coming up? Any releases? Any shows? Any tours? Anything you can talk about without the rest of the band, hunting you down?
So we're going to be getting out there a little bit, where I think we're aiming to make our way up to like the New England area, like upstate New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all that kind of stuff. We're trying to get further north a little more and further south. And also we want to get out west a little more as well.
Oh yeah.
We have like 2 runs coming up in October, and we also have Summer Scream Festival coming up, which is in Brooklyn. It's our first show ever in Brooklyn, and it's with A Skylit Drive, Dreamwake, If Not For Me.
Nice.
Who else? Midwinter, Glass Waves, Farsight, Autumn Estate, Perspectives. I'm not sure if I'm missing anyone. I feel terrible if I am. There's like 10 bands on that bill, but they're all incredible bands. And we are in the studio currently. We're working towards getting a album, like a full length, I want to say,
Nice.
but we're still torn between the idea of doing a full length or an EP, but there's a lot of people who are like they want a full length, they want a full length. So I'm just like, okay, let's try and give it an attempt. But we are going to be releasing new music very, very soon.
Okay.
We actually just got the master to the first single off of this release back not too long ago. And it's a little different, but I'm excited to see what people are going to think because I'm trying, like I said, I'm very much about versatility, and we're going to be like, when it comes to like the future of like Hallow Sanctum, we're not afraid to experiment and push the boundaries a little bit, and
That's
like
good.
maybe try something softer, but also stay true to our sound at the same time and find that perfect balance, like what Invent's been doing with their latest, like I think Heavener and How We Used to Say Goodbye. Like those songs were still very true to their sound, but they were different for them.
Yeah.
And Currents has done stuff like that pretty well. Lorna Shore did it very well with like Pain Remains. And we also have stuff that makes Looking Glass and Hive Mind look like they would be considered soft. And exploring more with like the orchestral and ambient like backgrounds and whatnot. I'm really excited for people to hear like the new material because it's I'm extremely proud of it. And may or may not be getting a new song in a couple months, maybe towards the end of summer, I would say.
Okay.
But
Is that when you're
I
gonna
would
possibly release the
definitely,
new song? Okay.
yes.
I
So
can't
I would
wait. I'm excited.
definitely keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely.
And, you know, hopefully we're just aiming to get out there and see as many people as we possibly can, put ourselves in front of all. We want to do the thing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's like a better way to describe it.
Hell yeah, man. I'm stoked. I can't wait to hear what you guys are cooking on. I'm stoked for it.
No, definitely. I can't wait for you to hear it either. I'm extremely, extremely proud of like the direction that like we're headed in, and it's like it's a little bit of everything. You know, it's not just sticking to one thing. It's staying true to the sound and also branching out in like all a bunch of different ways where it's not like a giant mess, but it
Yeah.
works very well. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But no, like we're just in and out of the studio right now. We did our first run recently, so we're just kind of like just gonna be in the studio and get a couple music videos shot, and then aim to release a new album or EP next year.
Hell yeah, man. I can't wait. I'm stoked.
We got a couple run slash tour announcements coming up soon, so definitely some we'll be getting out there a little bit. So keep an eye out for anything on our social media, and some new music coming a lot sooner than you guys think. So that's what's going on with Hallow right now.
So I want to ask, I'll throw you another curveball question. Music videos, how fun are they? I love asking this because it's pretty much the same consensus, like hours of lip singing and trying to go hard, because that one take where you don't go hard will be the one that gets used, and you're like, damn it, really? Of all the stuff.
Absolutely. 100%. And you know what? It's hours of lip syncing, and like I have a tendency to go a little too hard during music videos. Like we did the music video for Mania, and like that one I was going a little too hard in. Dude, we went to Poughkeepsie, New York I'm from Edison, New Jersey. So like that was like a 2-hour drive. And maybe a little more. I went crazy during the time that we filmed that video. That drive back was the most painful experience ever. I couldn't turn my neck a certain way, and I was just like so sore. I was like, oh, am I home yet? Oh no, we have another hour and a half.
The bangovers are
But
real
it's like
after
it's so
videos, or they
awkward.
can be.
Oh my god, yeah, 100%. But like going hard in the video is usually good because it's visually appealing.
Yeah.
You know, like people like to see energy, so obviously give them some energy. But it is pretty awkward, you know, because you're not like actually doing anything. You're just lip syncing
Yeah.
and like going really crazy and whatnot. The instruments aren't even plugged in.
Yeah.
You're playing to your song with a PA. The drums are all like detuned and like muted and
It's
whatnot,
weird.
and it's all like,
Your first one is very weird. Very, very weird and awkward.
oh yeah,
When we did ours, the very first part, they were like, "All right, you're in a basement. There's a swinging light. Go." And I was like, "Wait, what? What are we doing?" There was no. It was literally just me in the basement with like the camera guy, and I was like, "What are we doing?"
yep.
And I was like, "Okay." So
No,
I was down there
literally.
for I don't know how long, just in this stinky old basement with a swinging light,
Yep.
like almost hit me in the face. I was like, "Okay, this is wonderful." And I had bronchitis like the whole time, so I was like partially dying.
Oh
And
no.
it was a long, long day.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
Oh man. All
No,
right.
but yeah, they're awkward, but they're fun.
Oh yeah.
That's what I could
The finished
definitely
product
say.
is worth it.
Like
It's worth
sum
it in
it up.
the end, but it is extremely awkward and weird.
100%. 100%.
All right, so I think we've just about covered everything so far. What I like to do to end, I just want to kind of give you the floor. Is there any tips, any advice for aspiring vocalists out there now, someone that maybe wants to pick up the mic, someone that, you know, is starting out, or anything you can give? This is your chance just to spew knowledge to everybody.
So for somebody who wants to pick up the mic and like I do it. That's the best advice that I can give you, because once you do it and once you like get it down, it's honestly it's so rewarding, like because all it just shows like the years of hard work that you put in, and like once you finally get that show and you get off stage and that's your first show as a vocalist, it's insanely rewarding, especially if like everybody winds up coming up to you saying like, oh, your voice is like really good, or like you guys sounded so sick, you know, like it's a very rewarding feeling. And for any vocalists out there, I think the one thing that I always had to drill into my head, and I feel like it's very necessary, you know, is know when to stop. And sometimes less is more. That is the biggest pointers that I can have, because you don't have to like scream like you just stubbed your toe. You know, like that. I mean, that's what I thought it was when I first tried it, you know, but you don't have, less is always usually more, especially because, you know, especially when you're playing a live show, you want to make sure that you're pacing yourself. You could maybe go a little harder in the studio, but when you're in a live environment, especially if you have a string of shows that you're doing, you want to make sure that you're maintaining your voice throughout all of it. So take care of your voice as much as you possibly can. And sometimes less is more.
Exactly. Great advice. Wonderful advice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. We have chatted for a long time. I've took up a lot of your time, so I apologize for that.
No worries at all.
But dude, it's been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I can't wait for the new music. I'm super excited, and I've been, like I said, I've been bumping the EP. We've been jamming it, so we'll continue to do so and keep spreading the word about you guys. And is there anything else you want to leave us with?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Seriously, the pleasure's all mine. Is there anything you want to leave us with before we end it?
Yeah. Definitely, you know, thank you guys for giving me your time. And if you want, feel free to follow us on all of our social media, our band, Instagram, Facebook, everything is all at Hallow Sanctum, to keep up for any particular shows that may be coming through your area and for new music coming out soon. And honestly, seriously, thank you guys so much for having me and giving me some of your time tonight. It was really an honor.
Dude, thank you so much for being here. All your links will be down below in the description and stuff, and we'll definitely be promoting you guys. And Take care, and I can't wait for the new release, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Have a good night, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of Behind the Vocals featuring Nick from the band Hallow Sanctum. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, or maybe you even learned something from it all. We really appreciate you watching, listening to, checking this out, and we'll see you guys on the next one.